Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a phenomenon that's, well, it's exploding across screens, dominating attention spans. The world of short dramas. These bite-sized narratives are just everywhere. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a, frankly, pretty surprising and deeply concerning aspect of their rapid rise.
Yeah.
It's really a stark case study, isn't it? How market forces can drive content to extremes. It tells us a lot about media, algorithms, even labor exploitation.
What's truly fascinating here isn't just the speed at which this market has ballooned, but also the narratives embedded deep inside it. We're going to explore how this specific type of storytelling, people often call it abusive female content, how that's become so central to the industry's success.
And what that actually means.
Exactly. What it means for the people making these shows, but also for you, the audience, and maybe your own consumption habits.
So our mission today is to extract the crucial insights from this really illuminating article by Youthology. The title translates roughly to How is Shuang Satisfaction Forged? The gender violence formula in short dramas.
Shuang, that feeling of satisfaction.
Yeah, and this piece, it sheds light on some significant challenges, some harsh realities, really, faced by women working in this booming short drama landscape and the wider ripples.
The societal implications, definitely.
Let's maybe set the stage first. What exactly are these short dramas? Why are they so popular right now?
Well, they're essentially serialized stories, but broken down into tiny chunks, usually like 1 to 10 minutes per episode.
Okay.
Perfect, really, for how we live now, scrolling through phones. They offer that immediate emotional hit, whether it's satisfaction, that schwang feeling, or sweetness, or revenge pleasure.
Like a quick fix.
Exactly. A quick emotional outlet for, all the anxieties of real life.
And the market itself is, it's genuinely enormous, isn't it?
Oh, it is. There's a CICC report projecting China's market will top 65 billion RMB by 2025. That's 36% year-over-year growth. Massive.
Oh, wow.
And this potential has just spawned this huge content factory ecosystem. Think about Hengdian, the big studio complex.
Yeah.
In the first quarter of this year alone, they hosted over 780 micro-short drama crews. Nearly 100 crews shooting every single day.
That's incredible volume, which brings us to a really key point, I think. These abusive female plots, they seem to be getting phased out in longer dramas, right? Like Black Lotus Strategy Manual.
That's right, and Spring Flower Flame, they removed those elements.
But in short dramas, they're not just present, they seem to be flourishing, intensifying even. Why the difference?
That's a really important distinction. In these short dramas, this trope, it focuses intensely on showing women suffering violence, often sexual violence.
It's explicit.
The portrayal of female pain, humiliation, it's quite detailed, and it's used directly to satisfy, well, certain viewers' voyeuristic desires, their need for sensory stimulation.
So it's engineered.
Very much so. It's a specific, highly gendered structure. Early on, the heroine is abused, that gets sympathy, anger. Then later, the violence flips onto female antagonists.
For the revenge gratification.
Exactly. It's all built for that quick, intense, emotional payoff.
Okay, this focus on abuse in the scripts, it raises a huge question. What are the real-world effects on the women actually performing these scenes? The article says getting beaten is almost like a requirement.
Yeah, it's seen almost as a standard technique. Drive the plot, stir up the audience. Let's look at Cheng Cheng's experience. She's a university student, acted in nearly 30 short dramas.
30? Wow.
Yeah, and she often plays those White Lotus antagonists, seemingly innocent but actually manipulative.
And her story is particularly brutal. Can you walk us through that first experience? What did she actually go through?
Her first time was harrowing. She was told it would be fake hitting. Standard procedure, right?
You'd think so.
But because they were cutting costs so severely, the crew often just hired students. Temporary actors with zero training in simulated combat, which meant, under pressure from directors to save time and money, it often became real hitting.
Just actual violence.
Cheng Cheng counted being slapped around 10 times, kicked 5 times, dunked in a swimming pool 3 times. She sprained her ankle, broke a heel in one scene.
But had to keep going.
Had to keep working. She finished that day after 5 intense fight scenes, slapping, kicking, immersion, whipping, being tied up. It was relentless.
It's horrifying. The physical side is bad enough, but the article mentions the psychological toll. How did that affect her?
Oh, massively. She called it continuous psychological torment, like a violation of her basic instinct to protect herself.
I can imagine.
Her body would just tense up whenever another actor even raised an arm near her. After that first project, she had recurring images like flashbacks of being hit. She'd get into this really low mood before sleep.
That sounds awful.
She even talked to an AI about it, DeepSeek. The AI suggested her fantasizing before sleep might be a kind of dissociative escape.
Wow, like her brain creating a safe zone.
Yeah, a nervous system adaptation to essentially institutional violence, which is a pretty chilling thought.
Incredibly. So after all that, the pay?
Yeah.
She got 7,000 RMB, which, okay, maybe eased things slightly.
Temporarily, perhaps, but then she found out something that just added confusion to the pain.
What was that?
She learned a male classmate playing a supporting role got the same daily rate, 1,000 RMB, but only worked 3 days. So 3,000 RMB total.
Wait, same daily pay, but...
Totally different work. Chang had all those intense action scenes, beatings, immersion, bondage, her male colleague. Mostly dialogue, maybe helping the main couple's romance along.
So same pay, different work.
Exactly. It's apparently an industry norm. Female actors often carry way more of the physical and emotional load.
Faced with all this, how do they even try to protect themselves? Are there any systems?
Well, not formally, it seems. In the absence of proper training or protection from the industry, the female actors have kind of banded together. They've developed their own fake hitting techniques.
Like shared knowledge?
Yeah, Chang shared some specific tips. For slaps, rely on facial expressions, use an open hand to spread the force, aim for the neck, not the face directly.
Practical stuff.
For choking, use 2 fingers, light pressure near the throat. If you're being dragged, the male actor should try to discreetly support your weight. These are lessons learned the hard way, blood and tears lessons, she calls them.
God, that's bleak.
And she actually sends her notes to new crews now, hoping to stop other actresses getting hurt, even though she's not a lead.
That's quite something. Now, it's not just the female-led dramas pushing these limits, right? The article also looks at male-oriented short dramas.
Right, and there, the abuse often gets tangled up with really intense sexual objectification.
This is where terms like yi and shin come in.
Exactly. It's like soft porn, edge content is humiliation. These shows aren't just about physical violence, they lean heavily into sexual violence, sexual humiliation, stuff that's borderline erotic.
And there's a strong financial driver for this, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. One producer basically bragged that a drama turned a 5 million RMB investment into nearly 20 million.
20 million?
Yeah. His quote was blunt. Male audiences just fall for it. It shows how algorithms, platforms driven purely by data, can basically turn gender violence and sexualization into a commodity, a very profitable one.
Which leads to really difficult situations for actresses like Wenwen, mentioned in the article.
Yeah, Wenwen's experience was so bad she now refuses any roles involving Manet, or Shida, she'd played a female antagonist in a male-oriented drama.
How are those roles different?
In those shows, the female leads are often portrayed as pure romantic interests. But the female antagonists, they're often written as vicious, but also explicitly sexy. They become the outlet for male viewers' emotional release and desire.
So it's less about acting skill and more about specific physical traits and a certain attitude.
Precisely. Actresses are often defined as needing to be good-bodied and open-minded. A lot of them start out hoping for regular roles, but find themselves railroaded.
Push toward that.
Wenwen talked about directors and producers openly assessing her body, pushing her towards more revealing roles. They'd offer more money, too, sometimes double, for specific poses, skimpy clothing, or those humiliation scenes.
But even if they agreed on boundaries beforehand.
The pressure didn't stop on set. The director, the cinematographer, even other actors would constantly be at her, open up more, can you loosen up? Always trying to push past the agreed limits.
That sounds like coercion.
She felt forced to compromise, like raising her skirt higher and higher until her underwear was nearly showing. She described it as silent coercion. Directors just staring, saying nothing.
Making her feel like she's the problem.
Exactly, like she's the one holding up the shoot, wasting money. Every second counts on those sets.
It sounds incredibly isolating. Did anyone support her?
No. She said she felt completely alone, distressed. No one seemed to care about her feelings. The crew just wanted to get it done fast.
So what happened?
She eventually quit the project. They brought in a replacement actress, paid her double Wenwen's rate just for the remaining face-revealing shots.
Double. Wow.
But here's the kicker. They still used the body exposure shots from Wenwen's original footage in the final cut.
No way. They used her footage even after she left.
Yes. It highlights this really troubling trend. once you get typecast in these M roles, it's incredibly hard to get back to conventional acting.
Yeah.
Your path just narrows, even though the higher pay is a strong lure in such an unstable industry.
And then there's something even more disturbing mentioned. Secret filming.
Yeah, the article reveals some low-budget, male-oriented crews actually secretly film revealing shots, like under the guise of shooting a normal scene.
And then what do they do with it?
Use it for soft porn distribution, basically. Lower costs for them, high traffic. Sunji, a friend of Wenwen's, experienced this playing a minor role.
Oh.
The cinematographer would use really low angles trying to film up her skirt. She said many actresses, especially full-time pros, kind of chose to ignore it. Their attitude was like, it's fine, we're wearing safety shorts.
Just normalize it to survive.
Kind of. But others, like Sunji and another recent graduate, Wang Qin, felt increasingly numb to it. They were scared of being labeled a diva. Difficult, they complained. Scared of losing work.
So they just put up with it.
They described wearing multiple layers of safety shorts, even in boiling weather, just trying to protect themselves.
But even with the shorts, the filming itself is a violation. And did the footage still get used?
Well, Sunji and 2 others did confront the cinematographer. He denied it at first, then admitted it was accidental, deleted some footage.
Okay, so some accountability.
But after this nation, when the drama aired, their exposed scenes were mostly edited to hide their faces. However, the other actresses, the ones who stayed silent, their exposed footage was widely distributed online.
Oh my God. So the ones who didn't complain ended up exposed indefinitely.
Enduring indefinite public consumption. It's horrific.
Let's trace this back to the source. The scripts. This is where the abuse formula really gets cooked up, right? And escalated.
Absolutely. Screenwriters are right on the front lines of these market trends. Ning Hui, a writer, mentioned she'd had 2 successful short dramas, but her initial scripts for female-focused stories rejected.
Why?
Insufficient emotional impact, which basically translated to the abuse of women degree wasn't high enough.
Abuse of women degree. That's an actual metric they use. That's chilling.
It really reflects the market's relentless demand for stronger, more intense emotional jolts. The industry's been growing for about 3 years. It's hitting a kind of bottleneck. Meaning simple physical abuse, dunking in water, choking, slapping on. It's not enough anymore. The audience's emotional threshold has been pushed way up.
So if that's not enough, what is the new standard? What are they demanding now?
Scripts now often need dual abuse. That's Sia Pazneli's physical torment stacked with psychological torment.
Can you give an example?
Sure, like a female character gets beaten and suffers a miscarriage, and then immediately she gets news her blind grandmother was pushed down the stairs. The goal is just multi-dimensional suffering to really hammer home the character's fragility and provoke the strongest possible audience reaction.
And it goes even further than that, doesn't it? Into really extreme, almost bizarre territory.
Oh, definitely. More and more plots use what the article calls pseudo-human elements. Things like imprisonment, forced hysterectomies, organ harvesting.
Organ harvesting? Seriously.
Contracting AIDS, forced abortions, live organ transplants. The ethical side, the potential real-world implications of showing this violence seems totally secondary for the writers. It's all about the shock value.
What does this do to the writers themselves, constantly churning out this kind of material?
It sounds profound. Ning Hui, the writer, she's sensitive to language, right? She described experiencing phantom limb pain, actual physical nausea and vomiting when writing scenes like a character getting fish hooks impaled through her fingers.
That's a visceral reaction.
But the more experienced writers in her group, they just normalized it. Their attitude was, it's normal, you get used to it, it's fake, we're just doing it for the money.
That sounds like a really demanding and also incredibly wasteful system.
It really is. Many of these extreme scripts, even after tons of revisions, they might just get scrapped if they don't perfectly match the fleeting market trend or if they fail censorship.
But the demand persists.
Yes. Editors keep pushing for more severe abuse, even if it's just described verbally in the script, just to heighten that audience emotion. The focus isn't on, ethical reflection or promoting positive values.
It's purely about
immediate emotional release for the common people. That's the target audience, often women in smaller cities, 4th and 5th tier cities. There's no real aim to educate or instill mainstream values.
Which raises that bigger question again. What is the broader societal impact beyond the industry bubble?
Ning Hui really struggles with this, the ethical dilemma. Is her work harming less educated viewers, impressionable teenagers? Because the gender narratives are so often stereotypical.
How so?
Women are consistently portrayed as weak, helpless, controlled. Men are the powerful, dominant superiors. These are the roles being reinforced again and again.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, this kind of relentless messaging, it has to shape perceptions, right?
Right.
Maybe even behavior.
There's research suggesting it does. A 2023 study, the Compass study, looked at over 17,000 adolescents. It found women watching more than 3 hours a day of big male lead content.
Like dramas centered on powerful men.
Exactly. They had a significantly higher risk of depression. Risk factor was 1.30. They were also more likely to believe things like, emotional care is women's duty.
Wow.
And more likely to engage in body monitoring, constantly checking mirrors, worrying about weight, restrictive eating. It's like female viewers are being trained to be the female lead, but a specific kind.
The kind who sacrifices for others.
Sacrifices for others, helps others grow, but doesn't get her own complete self-driven story.
It sounds like the line between fiction and reality gets dangerously blurry, like a feedback loop.
It really does. In some of these abusive female plots, the perpetrator's violence gets romanticized, labeled deep affection or sickly sweet.
Which is incredibly confusing.
It can absolutely cause viewers to misinterpret violence as somehow an expression of love. It erodes basic judgment, that sense of safety.
And Ninghui saw real-world parallels.
Chillingly, yes. She observed real bullying incidents, middle school girls being stripped, film that directly mirrored abuse techniques from these short dramas.
And those incidents were then
re-edited and shared online as satisfaction videos among adolescents, potentially becoming templates for real-life imitation. It's a terrifying cycle.
That's deeply disturbing. I imagine that hit her hard as a writer.
It really did. She asked her middle school niece about seeing such bullying. And her niece just immediately replied, that girl must have done something excessive.
Blaming the victim.
Exactly. That response just deeply unnerved Ninghui because it perfectly mirrored the internalized narrative, a narrative Ninghui herself often writes. She even admits feeling a sense of satisfaction herself sometimes after writing a particularly abusive scene, which frightens her even as she tries to rationalize it as just, assessing the market.
So, pulling this all together, what does it mean for us? As the people watching this stuff, how should we think about this?
Ninghui's conclusion is pretty stark. The idea that we can neatly separate two-dimensional fiction from our three-dimensional reality is mostly self-deception, she thinks.
Because entertainment works on empathy.
Right. Its power to evoke empathy means its influence is subtle, insidious. A dull internalization, she calls it, that slowly ferments within our values.
Even if there are tacked on positive messages.
Yeah, some shows add superficial mainstream values at the end, mostly for censorship, but she says they largely fail to have any real positive impact. Her point is, we're living beings. We might not directly act out what we see, but we can't just wall off our values from it.
So what does she do?
Personally, she's reduced how much she writes. She tries to actively withdraw from the emotional system after each project to kind of reset her empathy for female suffering.
So boiling it down, what's the core truth this deep dive into short dramas reveals? It feels like it's about the chilling efficiency, right? How a market obsessed with instant satisfaction can just commodify violence, trauma.
Yeah, and normalize really harmful narratives, shaping how society thinks, often at a huge human cost to the people involved in making it.
It really makes you stop and think about how our own desire, maybe your desire as a listener, for that quick entertainment hit might inadvertently be fueling this system.
A system that pushes actors to their absolute limits, physically and mentally, demands increasingly extreme stuff from writers, and potentially changes how all of us perceive gender, relationships, even what's acceptable behavior.
It definitely leaves us, and you, with a provocative thought to chew on. In this media landscape where algorithms reward shock and that instant hit, how do we become more discerning?
How do we as consumers choose what narratives we support, what we internalize? And maybe how do we start pushing back against this commodification of suffering?